Hello and welcome to this video on percentages. I'm going to give you a real kind of whistle-stop tour of the main things you need to know about percentages for an iGCSE exam. There's four main sections. The next one's on the next slide. So we've got increase and decrease by a percentage, express one number as a percentage of the other, reverse percentages, and compound interest, which is on the next slide. So I'm going to really quickly go through it. I don't want this video to be super long. Starting with increase and decrease by a percentage. There's not lots, but there's a few different ways that you can solve a question like this. I'm going to show you the one that I think is the quickest and the easiest. So if we are increasing by a percentage, then we always start with the original, which is 100%. So if we are increasing, we're adding an extra percentage onto our original 100. So if we are increasing by 16%, we have 100% plus another 16%, which is 116%. Nice and easy. What I'm going to do is then take that percentage and change it into a decimal, which is 1.16. Most of you should be able to do that in your head. If you can't, I've literally divided by 100. So to get from 116 to 1.16, I have divided by 100. So if you're not sure, do it on your calculator. 116 divided by 100 is 1.16. I'm then going to take that percentage multiplier. It's the kind of official mathematical name for it. I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply it by the amount I was given in the question, which is 150. So I'm going to do 150 multiplied by 1.16, type that into my calculator, and it does it all in one step for you. So that gives me 174. So that is my answer, 174. I've taken an original amount, I've added on an extra 16%, and I got 174. Okay? A similar kind of method for decrease, except instead of adding this 53% onto my original 100, I'm going to take it away because a decrease is getting smaller. You're taking that percentage away. So I'm doing 100%, take away 53%, gives me 47%. And then again, change that to a decimal. So that is 0.47. Again, most of you should do that in your head, but if you're not sure, you're dividing by 100 to get between those two steps. Okay, and then I'm taking that 0.47, so I'm taking the multiplier and multiplying it by the amount I'm given in the question. So 93 multiplied by 0.47 gives me the answer. Type it in to my calculator is 43.71. And that's it. That's increase and decrease by a percentage. That's all you have to do. So just always start with 100% and then either add or subtract, depending on whether you're increasing or decreasing, by the percentage, change it to a decimal, and then multiply by the amount. Really, really straightforward. Expressing as a percentage is even more straightforward. So take the two numbers you've been given, which in this case are 51 and 72. Write them as a fraction. So we're doing 51 out of 72, and then you times that by 100. So in your calculator, remember fraction, the line in a fraction means divide. So put in set 51 divided by 72, and then times your answer by 100. Gives you 70.83 recurring. So I'm just going to write 83 once %. That's it. That is literally it. Just take the two numbers, divide them, and times by 100. Changes the number to a percentage. Super easy, but they do like that. Sometimes they'll kind of give you a change in numbers. So there were, let's use you guys as an example. So there were 20 students in year 10 last year. When they went into year 11, there's now only, I don't know how many of them you are, 17 say. So the difference between 20 and 17 is 3. Write the percentage decrease, so you're writing 3 out of the original number, which is 20, and then timesing that by 100. which would be 15%. I should have known that in my head. 15%. So they might give you a slightly different question where you have to kind of work out the differences first, but then to actually put them into a percentage, that's all you have to do. Reverse percentages, as the name suggests, are kind of going backwards. So you're given a new amount and the percentage either increase or decrease, and you have to go back to the beginning and find the original amount. So a TV is reduced by 15%, and that amount is 100 dirhams. So it's been reduced by 100 dirhams or 15%. What is the normal price? The way I usually do these questions is I put the percentage equal to the amount that I know. So I know 15% is equal to 100 dirhams. I would then scale that down to find 1%. And to do that, I've divided 15 by 15 to get 1. So divide by 15, do the same to the other side. So divide the 100 by 15 as well. 100 divided by 15 is 6.6 recurring. I'm then going to times that by 100 to get back to 100%. Remember, original is always 100%. So I'm timesing both sides or multiplying both sides of the equation by 100, which is going to give me another decimal, 666.6 recurring. So I'm just going to say 0.7 if I round it to one decimal place. 666.7. It's unusual that they'd give you a recurring decimal in these types of questions. I've made these numbers up myself, which is why they're not ideal. It's unusual that they would give you a recurring decimal. It might be a decimal number, but it would usually be like 0.5 or 0.25 or something. That's something that's nice and easy to work with, not a recurring decimal necessarily. The other type of reverse percentage question is where they tell you how much it's reduced by and they tell you the new cost. So a coat is reduced by 25% in a sale. It now costs £56. Work out the original price of the coat. So again, we're trying to work our way back to 100%. What we need to work out is what percentage we actually have. We know it's been reduced by 25%, which means we've taken 25% away from the original 100. That means we are left with 75%. Okay, so that's come from 100%, take away 25, gives us 75%. And that is equal to the new sale price of the coat, which is £56. I'm going to divide by 75 to find 1%. 56 divided by 75 as well. So the same on both sides of my equation gives me, and again, another recurring decimal. I really haven't thought these numbers through. 746 recurring. Then we're going to times that by 100 to get back to the original price. The original 100%. So that's going to be 74.6 recurring. Because we're talking about money, I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places, so 67. I should have really done it to 2 decimal places for the other question, and it never mind. So 74.67. But the method is very much the same as the previous question. Work out what percentage you have and how much it is worth in terms of money. Divide it down to get 1% and then multiply it back up to get the original 100%. We're always working with 100% is the original value. Okay, I hope that's helping so far. The last thing is compound change. Now, compound change is where you are increasing repeatedly by the same percentage. And there's a nice little method to do that all in one step. So I'm investing 5,000 dirham in an account that pays 3% compound interest per annum. Per annum means every year. So they're giving me 3% extra on my original investment every year. How much money do I have altogether, so including my original investment, after 7 years? Okay, so the way we do this, so we go back to what we were saying about a percentage increase. So interest is an increase. Interest, increase. It sounds similar. I was going to say it sounds the same. It doesn't. It sounds similar. They both begin with in. So interest means it's increasing, and they're adding a little bit of extra money into your account as a kind of incentive to choose their bank account. So they're going to give you 3% on top of the money you invest. So it's an increase. So the first thing I'm going to do is do my 100%, and I'm adding on 3% every year, which is 103%. And then I'm going to change this to a decimal, which is 1.03. I'm going to do the same as I did before, take my amount, which is 5,000. I'm multiplying it by the multiplier, which is 1.03. The only thing I'm doing extra for this one is I have to take into account this 7 years. Okay, and to do that, what I'm essentially doing is multiplying by 1.037 times, because every year I'm increasing by another 3%. So every time I increase by 3%, I'm multiplying by 1.03. So after the first year, I multiply the amount by 1.03. After the second year, I multiply it by another 1.03. And I repeat that 7 times until I find the amount I have after 7 years. Now, there's a quicker way of doing that. Instead of multiplying it over and over again, if you're multiplying by 1.03 7 times, you're multiplying 1.03 by itself 7 times, which means I can use a power. I can put it to the power of 7 and put that into my calculator. It gives me the amount I will have after 7 years. The power of 7 is 6,149 I'm going to round, it's a long decimal, I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places again because we're talking about money. So 37, and that is dirham. So things to remember, this is our initial investment. So that's the original amount, initial value I'm going to call it. This is the percentage multiplier, and the power is the number of years. But you can use the same method every single time you have a question like this. The only way they might change it is ask you how much interest do you get in 7 years instead of how much money do you have altogether. Now, to calculate how much interest you've got, that's the difference between our final value and the original value we invested. So to finish that off, we could do, this question hasn't asked for it, but an exam question potentially could. So we would do 6,149.37, subtract the original 5,000, and that will tell us exactly how much money the bank have actually given us. Again, I could have done that in my head. 1149.37. So this is the interest. That's the interest amount. This is the total amount that I have, including the original 5,000 that I invested. Yeah, and that's it. That's a real quick whistle stop tour of percentages. That's pretty much, they're the key things you'll need to know. They could slightly change the way they ask the question, but if you know these key skills and you know them well, you know them inside out, you understand why we're doing it and what we're doing, then you can adapt them to fit whatever exam question you've been given. But yeah, I hope that helps. Have a go at some exam questions now and see if you can use these skills to help you get whatever grade it is you're after. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day.